Welcome to our Middle East Briefing show. Today, we've got some captivating stories lined up for you. First up, the Sydney Film Festival is back for its 71st year, featuring over 200 films from 69 countries. With big names like Nicole Kidman and Cate Blanchett, and films ranging from local blockbusters to international award winners, this festival is a cinephile's dream. Don't miss out on the indigenous filmmakers competing for a $35,000 cash prize and the tribute to the late Ousmane Sembène, the godfather of African cinema. Next, archaeologists have uncovered a treasure trove of prehistoric engravings in South America, including a 43-meter-long giant serpent. This discovery, along the Colombia-Venezuela border, is believed to be part of a global mega-serpent tradition. With over 1,000 engravings featuring animals, geometric shapes, and human-like figures, this ancient art collection is one of the largest ever found and promises many more secrets to be revealed. Lastly, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to the U.S. Congress remains in limbo after the initially proposed date was ruled out due to a Jewish holiday. While the U.S. congressional leadership had floated June 13 as a potential date, it coincides with President Joe Biden's G7 summit in Italy. Netanyahu's office has confirmed that no new date has been set. Stay tuned for updates on this developing story. Please continue to watch for detailed coverage. Australian Broadcasting Corporation. The Sydney Film Festival, now in its 71st year, brings a dazzling array of over 200 films from 69 countries, many making their debut in Australia. The festival's lineup includes big names and cinephile favorites, alongside a strong representation of local talent. Documentarian will open the festival, competing for the $60,000 Sydney Film Prize. This year also marks the inaugural competition for Indigenous filmmakers, offering a $35,000 cash prize, the largest of its kind globally. Highlights include family-friendly blockbusters, award-winning films from Cannes and Sundance, and a retrospective on Senegalese filmmaker Ousmane Sembène. A standout is The Mugai, an Australian horror film that transforms the trauma of the stolen generations into a bogeyman terrorizing a First Nations family. Another intriguing entry is Pepe, a film narrated by the ghost of a hippo, exploring themes of colonialism and conservation. The Independent. A British-led research team has uncovered one of the world's largest collections of ancient art in a remote area of South America, featuring more than 1,000 prehistoric engravings, including a 43-meter-long giant serpent. These engravings, discovered along the Colombia-Venezuela border, depict everything from animals to human-like figures, with around 60 of them exceeding 10 meters in size. The monumental nature of these artworks suggests they were part of a global mega-serpent tradition, reflecting a widespread ancient practice of snake worship. This discovery sheds light on a previously unknown ancient culture and its artistic achievements, which predate European colonization. The engravings, often located high up on near-vertical cliffs, required significant effort and risk to create. The research aims to protect this extraordinary artistic heritage and involve local communities in its preservation. Yahoo US. The timing of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress remains uncertain after a proposed date was ruled out due to its conflict with the Jewish holiday Shavuot. The invitation, extended by the top congressional leaders, comes amidst strained relations between Netanyahu and President Joe Biden, particularly over Israel's war plans and humanitarian issues in Gaza. Some Democrats have expressed opposition to Netanyahu's speech, reflecting the party's internal divisions over the Gaza conflict. Biden and Netanyahu have maintained regular communication since the October 7 Hamas attacks, but the proposed speech date coincides with Biden's planned attendance at a Group of 7 summit in Italy. The leaders' relationship has been further tested by differing views on a ceasefire proposal to secure the release of hostages held by Hamas. The proposal, revealed by Biden, has not been formally endorsed by Israel, adding to the ongoing diplomatic tensions. Associated Press. Washington, AP, President Joe Biden is pushing for a significant three-phase agreement between Israel and Hamas that could immediately secure the release of Israeli hostages, free Palestinian prisoners, and potentially bring an end to the ongoing Gaza war. This bold move comes amidst Biden's re-election campaign and aims to demonstrate his commitment to resolving the conflict that has resulted in over 36,000 Palestinian deaths and left many in dire conditions. Biden's decision to publicly disclose the Israeli proposal was intended to pressure Hamas into action, diverging from the U.S.'s previous stance of allowing Israel to lead hostage negotiations. Despite immediate resistance from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who faces political pressure from his far-right coalition, the Biden administration remains cautiously optimistic about the proposal's potential to initiate a ceasefire and phased Israeli troop withdrawal from Gaza. South China Morning Post. No date has been set for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to a joint meeting of the U.S. Congress, despite reports suggesting a speech on June 13. Netanyahu's office clarified that the address would not occur on that date due to a Jewish holiday. This address would mark Netanyahu's fourth time speaking before Congress, a rare honor typically reserved for the closest U.S. allies. The timing of this potential speech is notable as it coincides with President Joe Biden's expected attendance at the G7 summit in Italy. The U.S. is advocating for a UN Security Council resolution to support a ceasefire and hostage deal in Gaza, a proposal endorsed by several world leaders. The ongoing Gaza war, triggered by a Hamas-led attack on October 7, has resulted in significant casualties, with Biden's support for Israel becoming a contentious issue among his political base as he seeks re-election. New York Times. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel faces increased political turmoil as two far-right coalition partners threaten to dismantle his government if Israel agrees to a ceasefire that does not completely eliminate Hamas. Despite President Biden's description of a three-phase ceasefire plan, Netanyahu expressed only partial openness to a 42-day pause in the conflict. The proposed plan, which Biden claims was initiated by Israel, aims for an enduring ceasefire and the release of remaining hostages in Gaza. Biden emphasized that the Israeli military's actions had already significantly diminished Hamas's capabilities, but Netanyahu's far-right ministers, Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, remain adamant against any deal that falls short of eradicating Hamas entirely. This internal political pressure complicates Netanyahu's decision-making as he navigates the potential agreement and its implications for his government's stability. CNN. Claudia Sheinbaum's historic win as Mexico's first female president and first Jewish leader brings with it a host of challenges, particularly in the realms of security and democracy. As she steps into office in October, Sheinbaum must navigate the complex legacy of her mentor, outgoing President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, whose social policies have been popular but whose security measures have struggled against organized crime. Promising to govern for all Mexicans, Sheinbaum aims to maintain a corruption-free administration and ensure financial discipline. The Morena party's likely supermajority in Congress may ease her path to passing reforms, though these include controversial changes that could weaken institutional independence. Sheinbaum's security strategy remains somewhat vague, but she has emphasized the importance of consolidating the National Guard and improving coordination among law enforcement agencies. Her approach to the U.S.-Mexico relationship, especially on trade and migration, will also be closely watched, particularly given her leftist political stance and the upcoming U.S. elections. Al Jazeera. Croatia, led by their 38-year-old captain Luka Modric, is gearing up for Euro 2024 with hopes of surpassing their previous European Championship performances. Despite their impressive World Cup runs, Croatia has never progressed beyond the quarterfinals in the Euros. Modric, who has won numerous trophies with Real Madrid, aims to end his international career on a high note. Under coach Zlatko Dalic, Croatia has consistently punched above their weight, finishing second in their qualifying group behind Turkey. Their team-oriented approach saw multiple players contributing to their goal tally. However, they face a tough group stage, drawn against Spain, Italy, and Albania. Success in this tournament would not only cement Modric's legacy but also enhance Dalic's reputation as Croatia's most successful coach. CNN. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to address the U.S. Congress on June 13, a date when President Joe Biden will be attending a G7 summit in Italy. This timing avoids a potentially awkward meeting between Netanyahu and Biden, whose relationship has been strained over Israel's war plans and humanitarian issues in Gaza. The invitation to Netanyahu has sparked controversy among Democrats, some of whom plan to boycott the speech. The ongoing conflict in Gaza has divided the Democratic Party, with many viewing Netanyahu as a barrier to peace. Despite these tensions, top congressional leaders from both parties extended the invitation, emphasizing solidarity with Israel in its fight against terrorism. Recent negotiations for a ceasefire and hostage release have added further complexity to U.S.-Israel relations, with Biden publicly detailing an Israeli proposal to pressure Hamas. Netanyahu, however, has denied agreeing to a ceasefire without specific conditions being met. Australian Broadcasting Corporation. The Israeli military has declared 4 more hostages kidnapped on October 7 as dead, including 3 men seen in a Hamas video pleading for release. This announcement intensifies pressure on the Israeli government to accept a U.S. ceasefire proposal that could potentially secure the return of remaining hostages in Gaza and end the ongoing 8-month conflict. Currently, around 80 hostages are believed to be alive in Gaza, with remains of 43 others. The declaration comes amid significant protests in Israel urging the government to bring the hostages home, following the Biden administration's ceasefire proposal. Despite this, Israeli leadership remains steadfast in continuing military operations against Hamas. The four men, Nadav Popplewell, Amram Cooper, Yoram Metzger, and Haim Perry, were reportedly killed during an Israeli operation in Khan Yunis, central Gaza, months ago, but recent intelligence has confirmed their deaths. Their bodies remain in Hamas custody. The men, all over 80, appeared in a December video by Hamas titled, "Don't Let Us Grow Old Here," expressing their suffering and abandonment. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has faced opposition from ultranationalists within his coalition over the ceasefire proposal, which they fear might end the war without eliminating Hamas. Meanwhile, Israeli bombardments and ground operations have resulted in over 36,000 Palestinian deaths, cutting off essential supplies to the already struggling population in Gaza. The group of 7 industrialized nations and key Arab countries have shown support for the ceasefire proposal, urging Hamas to accept the deal and emphasizing the importance of a permanent ceasefire. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.